5 million people are affected by the drought and power cuts in China, and there's no short-term relief in sight. These natural disasters are hitting the Chinese economy, and their impact is expected to be as bad, if not worse, than the Wuhan virus pandemic. There's a sharp rise in factory shutdowns in China. Last week, 39 factories were closed. The week before that, almost 20 factories had to close their operations. So the numbers have more than doubled. And we don't know if this shutdown is temporary or permanent. Either way, these disruptions will hit the Chinese economy hard. The property crisis has already pushed China towards a recession. Everyone is feeling the impact. Here's a headline that's been doing the rounds. The rich are selling their Rolex watches, and also on sale are luxury bags from Hermes. China has a major market for second-hand luxury goods. Suddenly, it is witnessing a lot of activity. The rich and wealthy are going to the sellers in droves. There is excess supply. The sellers have been forced to cut prices. It's simple economics. Supply is more than demand, so lower prices. So if you're into luxury goods, you could say that this is a silver lining in the dark cloud that is the Chinese economy. But here's a question. Why are the rich selling their luxury goods? Why are they selling their Rolex watches and their bags? To raise quick cash. That's according to one report, and it makes sense. In an unstable economy, cash is king. If the rich are struggling in China, you can only imagine what the middle class is going through. Beijing may not have formally declared a recession, perhaps it never will. But the people of China say they already feel it. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.
Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Simon.
Oh, thank you. And what's your name?
My name is Imi Davis.
And where are you from, Imi?
I'm from Welcome City.
My neck of the woods. How old are you?
I'm 9.
Oh my goodness. So, are you going to sing?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And what are you going to sing?
I'm going to sing I Put a Spell on You by Screaming Jay Hawkins.
Oh my goodness. Why that song?
It's because I've been practicing it and...
Good reason. Everyone's making me look a bit stupid this year. I realised that.
I'm sorry. You aren't stupid.
I know I'm not. I feel a bit stupid this year. Thank you, Imi. We sort of become friends. I like that. Okay, so why did you decide to come on the show, Imi?
Because since I was 5, I've been watching this show and I've always wanted to be on this show.
Really? So do you think you're going to win, Imi?
I'd love to.
Well, look, I'm not going to ask any more questions because I'm feeling really stupid right now. So, good luck. Go on, Emily. She's really sweet. Yeah. Funny.
I put a spell on you because you're mine, and you better stop the things you're doing. I say watch out, no, I ain't lying. I put a spell on you because of my command. You better stop the things you're doing. I say watch out. No, I ain't lying. No, I ain't lying. 'Cause baby, I love you, yeah. Can't you see that I love you, I love you, I love you, even if you don't want me to. Baby, if you don't want me, I could have stayed. Yes, I did. Because you're mine.
since we're discussing economies, how can we not talk about China, the world's second largest economy? How are they faring? They plunged into darkness, quite literally. Let me show you some pictures from Shanghai. This is the famous Shanghai skyline, a symbol of a developed China. It has now been forced to switch off the lights because China is facing a power crunch. So much so that officials have issued orders to ration power supply. And they're going to great lengths to save electricity. I have some more photographs for you. This is an office in China's Sichuan province. It looks like a sweatshop. Only the computers are running here. The employees are working without any lights, air conditioners, or even fans. I wonder if there's a ban on charging their mobile phones too. Then we have this picture. Giant blocks of ice have replaced air conditioners in this office. Again, this is from China's Sichuan. Last week, this province ordered power cuts for just 6 days. Now that order has been extended to 11 days. So perhaps offices in Sichuan will need more ice because they're not getting any electricity anytime soon. China is facing its longest and most severe drought in a long time. 66 rivers in 34 provinces have dried up. Rainfall is down by 60%. And remember, China depends heavily on hydropower for its electricity. 90% of China's power supply needs extensive water resources. So when there's no water, there can be no electricity. China is
Hi, my name's Renata, and I'm originally from Colorado, and I live in Arizona now. And I've got an MBA from Regis University in Denver, Colorado, and worked in the oil and gas industry for many years. Let's see, what's an interesting fact? I love animals, love volunteering with animals. I'm in a library using their computer, so I don't have, let's see if I have pictures. Got a cat and a dog. I have to pull these guys up here. My computer at home, the picture was just wasn't, the camera wasn't working, so. That's the dog. And let's see, the cat. And there's the cat. Never worked for a library before, and I'm expecting to learn a lot from this class about how to develop a collection. That's sort of the nuts and bolts of a library, so I'm really looking forward to it. Thanks. Nice to meet you all. Bye.
There's an issue that we must talk about. Have you noticed how so many young people are dying of heart attacks? I know I've spoken about this in the past and repeatedly, but there's a need to talk more about this and try and understand why heart attacks are suddenly claiming young lives. For the longest time, heart ailments were problems we associated with older people, those above the age of 60. But earlier today, a young politician died in India. She was all of 42. She died of a heart attack. A couple of months ago, it was singer KK. He was 53 years old. He died of a heart attack. Cricketer Shane Warne, 52 years old, again died of a heart attack. Young actors have died, young athletes have died. They were all seemingly fit people. So what went wrong? Before we put together this story, we spoke to some doctors to look for answers, and this is what they told us. They said there are 6 things that make a person vulnerable to heart attacks: diabetes, blood pressure, blood cholesterol, smoking, family history, and lifestyle. How vulnerable you are to a heart attack depends on how you fare on this chart. But here's the thing, neither high sugar levels nor high blood cholesterol levels is a new phenomenon. People in their 30s and 40s have been diagnosed with these problems for a while now. People in their 30s and 40s have also been smoking for generations now. So, what has changed recently? And this is where we need to understand the biology behind a heart attack. What triggers it? A person suffers a heart attack when the low flow of blood, in fact, the flow of blood to the heart, is reduced or blocked. Why does that happen? Because of a blockage in the arteries. It does not happen overnight. It takes years of fat buildup or high levels of cholesterol or the likes. The narrower the arteries, the lesser the flow of the blood. Now, some of you may be surprised to learn that by the time a person reaches a late 20s or early 30s, man or woman, they're likely to already have a certain amount of blockage in the arteries. The blockage, however, is mostly negligible. But one episode of stress can sometimes push the heart over the edge. It can be anything, a new workout regime, a physical ailment, or a stressful life event. Now, the Wuhan virus has been that stressful event for a lot of young people, and old, of course. They're either grieving someone, or stressing over a lost job, or their body is stressed because of long COVID or COVID-related heart problems. And this is where we must also bring in the role of lifestyle changes. You see, most young people don't get regular heart checkups. It's obviously because for the longest time, there's not been the need to get your heart checked at an early age. So without pre-cardiac checkups, people sign up for rigorous workout routines. They lift weights, experiment with high-intensity training. Sometimes their heart can't afford this physical stress. But how do you explain this to a workout-obsessed generation? Then there's also the stress from work, what we call occupational stress. It is constantly on the rise. Sometimes the body is also stressed because of a sedentary lifestyle, obesity, or smoking. All of these contribute to heart attacks at a young age. So if you ask what has changed in the last couple of years, it's three things. One, pandemic. Two, stress levels. And three, high-intensity workouts. While the changes have been universal, there are a couple of things that may explain why Indians seem to be more at risk of heart problems. Number one is genetics. Indians have a high risk of heart diseases. Studies say Indians also have smaller blood vessels. And they suffer heart diseases at least 10 years before people in the West, meaning despite all the fried food, an American might have a heart disease only in his 60s. But when an Indian consumes the same food, he or she will likely have the same problems in their 50s and now increasingly in their 30s and 40s. And reason number two, Indians are also more at risk of premature diabetes. I'm sure you know that India is called the world's diabetes capital. And diabetes, like you mentioned, is one of the leading causes of heart attacks. So what should you do to stay safe? Go for routine health checkups, especially if you have a family history of heart problems. Doctors say heart ailments in youngsters mostly go undiagnosed. You should keep an eye out for some symptoms of heart problems. Your body could be sending out signals in unique ways through pain in the arms or in the jaw. You may start feeling restless, heaviness in your chest or in the arms. You must seek medical help the moment you feel uneasy, because at the end of the day, while heart attacks have increased among young people, this is a problem that can be avoided. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move. Indian diplomats are known for their carefully worded statements, for being diplomatic, especially when it comes to China. Throughout the ongoing border standoff, India has exercised caution. It chose to settle differences quietly through diplomatic engagements. But this week, there was a major shift in India's tone. There was what we call a war of words. It began in Sri Lanka. The Chinese ambassador to Colombo provoked India. This is about the Yuan Wong Five, the Chinese ship that
they
recently
just come
docked
in
at Sri Lanka's
through the door
Hambantota
and-
port. There are serious security concerns about the ship. It has been linked to the Chinese military. Apparently, it has the ability to snoop on key Indian installations. So India expressed strong objections. Sri Lanka refused to let the ship dock at Hambantota. China built more pressure. Sri Lanka relented. Within days, the ship was allowed to come. But it did not conduct any research activities in Sri Lanka. That should have been the end of the story for the moment. But China was not done. Their ambassador, Chi Zhenhong, wrote an article for a leading Sri Lankan daily, and this article did not mention India, but the reference to India was quite clear. Allow me to quote from what he said. This is from the Sri Lankan ambassador. In the middle of this month, with China and Sri Lanka having altogether resisted the rude and unreasonable interference from third parties, the Chinese scientific research vessel Yuan Wong 5 has successfully docked at the Hambantota port for replenishment after receiving the latest approval from the Sri Lankan government. Note what he says. The rude and unreasonable interference from third parties. This is a clear reference to India. The Chinese are talking about India here. They also compared the docking of the ship to the situation in Taiwan, which makes no sense whatsoever. How are the two issues related at all? The Indian mission in Colombo decided to respond, and it slammed the Chinese ambassador. India said he has violated quote-unquote basic diplomatic etiquette with this article. Allow me to quote from the Indian statement. His view of Sri Lanka's northern neighbor may be colored by how his own country behaves. India, we assured him, is very different. His imputing a geopolitical context to the visit of a purported scientific research vessel is a giveaway. The statement ends with a veiled attack on Chinese debt traps, and I'm quoting further, opaqueness and debt-driven agendas are now a major challenge, especially for smaller nations. Recent developments are a caution. Very interesting. What about that comparison with Taiwan? The Indian statement weighed in on that too. It accused Beijing of militarizing the Taiwan Straits. And this, I must say, has happened for the first time. Never before has India spoken so candidly about the situation in Taiwan. The choice of words is significant. Again, look carefully. The Post says, militarization of Taiwan Straits. In a way, New Delhi is holding China responsible for the growing tensions in the region, and China will not like this one bit. And this is becoming a bit of a trend. China has been unhappy about some recent Indian statements. A couple of weeks back, the Chinese embassy in India released a statement, and they had basically made a demand from New Delhi. This is what it